The artist, formerly known as Super Chicken, has come out of retirement as Map Man, King of the Dirty South, in order to help you learn and remember your exponent rules. And what Map Man says is that you need to use your formula chart. You're going to have that formula chart on the STAR test on your district checkpoints, so use it. And then Map Man can help you remember what they all mean. So the MA in Map Man says that if you are multiplying like bases, that's the M, if you're multiplying, then you're going to add the exponents. So when we multiply, we're going to add. And what the PM is standing for is saying that if you are taking a power and you're raising it to an additional power, so a power to power, you're going to multiply your exponents. And then also, just as a reminder, if you are adding or subtracting your powers that have, or your bases that have powers, you're going to do nothing to the exponents. So I'm going to write that down here at the bottom. If you're adding, do nothing. And then, of course, Dirty South, King of the Dirty South. What that is telling us and reminding us is that if we're dividing, we subtract our exponents. So that Map Man, just remembering what Map Man has to say, gets you through a big portion of the formula chart. And then we're going to go ahead and address rational exponents and negative exponents next. So starting with our rationals to radicals, follow the pattern that they gave us on the formula chart. We got a to the m over n. So if we're going from a rational to a radical, we're going to put our base underneath, and the numerator is going to be our exponent underneath, and the denominator is going to go on the outside of the radical. So that's our pattern. So if we had something like x to the power of the 4/5, and we wanted to turn it into a radical, we would put our x underneath, and then the 4 would be the exponent underneath with it, and the 5 would go on the outside. And then following the same concept, if we wanted to work backwards, if we started out with something like this, we would go ahead and write our base. The 3 would be our numerator, and the 8 would become our denominator. So just use the formula chart and follow that pattern. You'll be fine every single time. And then the other one is negative exponents. Normally, we do not leave problems with negative exponents. So the rule that goes with it is you cross the line and you change the sign. So if we had something like x to the negative 4th power, to get rid of the negative exponent, we're going to have to set up a line, and we're going to put our x on the bottom. So we've crossed the line, we've moved to the bottom, and we've changed the sign of our exponent to a positive. Okay, so when we're looking at examples, first thing you got to do each and every time when you're working with Map Man is you got to decide what is the operation that we're doing here. So you can see from this operation that we're multiplying. That's what all these parentheses are saying. So if we're multiplying, that's this part of Map Man, it says we need to add our exponents. So my 4 and my 7, they're not like bases, they're just plain old numbers. So I'm just going to multiply 4 times 7. So 4 times 7 is 28. And then I'm going to add my exponents. So I'm going to write my base of an x, and I'm going to add 4 plus 5 as my exponents. So my answer to this is 28 x to the 9th power. Okay, let's look at another example. Again, we have to figure out our operations. So here I can see I've got a bunch of bases that are already raised to a power, and this whole thing's being raised to another power. So this time I'm going power to power, and according to MapMan, that means I'm going to multiply my exponents. So I've got negative 6, and just as a reminder, I'm going to write it in here. The exponent to my 6 is a 1 inside the parentheses. So I've got 1 times 2, and then I've got a p to the power of 2 times 2, and then I've got a q to the power of 3 times 2. And when I simplify this whole thing, what I end up with is negative 36 p to the 4th power q to the 6th power. And that's my answer. Okay, in this next example, again, we have to figure out our operation, and this is the operation of addition. So what MapMan has told us, if we're adding or subtracting, we do nothing to our exponents. So we'll just say 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. No funky things are happening to our exponents. And then for this example, we are dealing with the dirty South. We are dividing, that's our operations, so we're going to subtract our exponents. So let's go ahead and just get started on this. We have a 2 over 3. There's nothing really we can do to reduce that. Then we've got our x. We're going to subtract our exponents, so we have 4 minus 2. Then I'm going to write down my y base, and again I'm going to subtract my exponents. So I've got negative 4 minus negative 3. Make sure you get your minus and negative in there. And then I've got a z, and my exponent is negative 3 minus 4. So let's go ahead and simplify these. I've got 2/3 x squared. Then I got y, and my minus negative, these guys become a great big plus. So y to the negative 4 plus 3. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And then I've got a z. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. And then like we talked about earlier, we don't really like to leave negative exponents, so we're going to go ahead and just finish by crossing the line and changing the sign of our negative exponents. So we got a 2 on top and a 3 on bottom. My x squared is a positive exponent, so it stays on top, stays where it is. My y has a negative exponent, so I'm going to move it to the bottom, and now it just has an exponent of 1, which I don't need to write. And then my z also gets moved to the bottom, and now it has a positive exponent of 7. And that's my final answer.